Okay, welcome back to another episode of The Core Question. So, if you're new here, we're using this channel to stay informed on biometrics and AI because collectively, right now, all of us are being asked to play along and participate. And so, I think it's best that humanity stay informed on what this biometrics is and how we can avoid it if we want to. So, let's ask AI and see what it says. I asked it. What does the biometric tracking landscape look like across the world right now? And how are these systems setting this digital net up at different borders? So, if you're a traveler and you love traveling domestically or internationally, you might want to listen. It explains to me, this is what AI says: the fragmented global sandbox. Okay, so the first thing we need to understand is that there isn't one single massive supercomputer tracking the entire planet right now. Instead, the global tracking landscape is split into different regional zones or countries, okay? And the rules change completely based on where you are standing, what passport you are holding, and the type of property you are trying to enter. Okay, it says domestic US airports, the citizen choice zone. What does that mean, AI? It says inside domestic security lines, facial recognition is spreading fast, in case you haven't noticed, okay? However, for US citizens, these scans are strictly an optional shortcut. Okay. The official rules from the TSA explicitly state that facial comparison technology is 100% voluntary. I'll repeat that. It's 100% voluntary if you are a US citizen flying domestically, meaning flying within the US. You have an absolute legal right to say no. Hand over your physical ID and request a manual check with zero penalties. And then it explains to me, note, if you are a foreign national or non-citizen entering or exiting the country, you are processed under separate federal immigration mandates where biometrics can be legally required. Okay. And then it explains public commercial venues, the choice protection zone. It tells me when you try to enter a sports stadium or a concert hall, like Dodger Stadium in California, for example, facial scanning it is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. While a stadium is commercial property, it is classified as a place of public accommodation open to the general public. Therefore, corporations are strictly bound by local data privacy laws like CCPA in California or GDPR in Europe. They cannot legally harvest or store your biological data without your explicit signed consent. Biometric turnstiles are nothing but optional fast lanes. Both citizens and non-citizens always retain the right to bypass the cameras, use a standard ticket barcode, and clear the gate through a manual human line like you always have. Okay. And it's, this AI is giving me the impression that it's much faster and this and that and more convenient, but I'm not too convinced of that. Or maybe it is. And if it is, I still don't think it's worth trading like all of your like life history to, I don't know, move a little bit faster in the line. Like the trade-off doesn't sound too good to me. Anyways, strictly private venues, the members only exception. What does that mean? The legal rules change completely if you step onto strictly private property, okay, such as members only country club, a private estate, or a restricted corporate facility. Because these spaces are not open to the general public, they are exempt from public accommodation laws. Okay. They are governed strictly by private contract law, meaning they can legally mandate facial scans as an absolute condition of entry. If you refuse the scan, they have the absolute legal right to deny you access to their property. Wonderful. If I pause and stuff, forgive me. I'm taking notes. I'm learning this stuff too. So I would screenshot this or take notes. And also, I want to say that if there's any error in this information that's being presented, and as you know, AI can make errors, please call it out, and we'll try to fix it and gain clarity. Okay. All right, so sovereign international borders, and this is a mandatory zone. We don't like that word, mandatory, but here's what it says. The only place where biometrics become an inescapable legal requirement for everyone is when you cross an international border into a foreign country. For example, under Europe's upcoming entry exit system, the EES, local sovereign immigration laws legally require non-EU citizens, for example, like a US citizen flying into Spain, to register their face and fingerprints. This is not sounding ideal. Anyways, it explains at an international customs desk, the scan is a mandatory condition of entry into that nation. Excuse me. You cannot opt out at the window without being turned away. Insane. Okay. The AI says choice architecture, the hidden pressure loop. What does that mean, AI? Because these high-tech networks cannot handle a ton of human friction without causing massive delays, they rely on a psychological trick called choice architecture. The systems are deliberately designed to look like massive, cold, and completely unavoidable. They purposely hide the manual lines and the signs showing you the exit, or showing you that there is an option, that biometrics is optional. They do their best to conceal it and keep it hidden. Anyways, they count on the fact that the traveling public is tired, stressed, and distracted. They assume that 99% of the people will just submissively step into the camera cages because they don't realize they have a right to ask for a human agent or check for a manual backup line. Okay? Fascinating. The on-ground strategy. All right, AI, what is that? So we do not look at this global map with fear. Okay, I love that. Because a database server sitting in a warehouse is completely blind until you feed it live data on the pavement. You need to explain that. We navigate the map by building an ironclad analog lifestyle firewall. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this, so AI, make this simple. It says, we know our borders. When traveling domestically through TSA checkpoints as a US citizen, confidently walk right past the automated camera turnstiles. Okay. Step up to the staffed counter, hand over your physical passport book, and use your voice to drop your legal firewall. No thanks. I am explicitly opting out of the optional facial scan today. Please verify my document manually. And I can confirm I have done this at a major US airport. I opted out of biometrics altogether whilst I was in the US side. I just kind of like not even looked at the camera, just stepped to the side a little bit and just handed my passport book over to the TSA person, and they just reviewed it. They did it for me and the other travelers that I was with. It was no problem, no biggie, but you do need to state it explicitly as soon as you walk up. Like, don't even stand in front of the camera. Like, let it be known from the get-go that you're not there to take a picture. Just hand over your passport book to the person at the podium or whatever, and just be polite about it, be cool about it. It's really no big deal. Okay, so where was I? Okay, we navigate public space. When entering public stadiums or commercial venues, check their entry guidelines ahead of time. Bypass their biometric fast lanes completely. Stand flat in your shoes and use a standard mobile barcode or paper ticket at the traditional human counter line. Okay, so we'll have to look into Dodger Stadium and Disney, for example, in California, and then other popular spots across the United States and see what their biometric requirements are. Okay, we neutralize foreign customs. So when clearing mandated foreign customs, like arriving in Spain, okay, I don't like the idea of having to give all your biological assets, let's say, to this system. But let's say you have to go to Spain and then therefore have to give them your biometrics, and then we accept that compliance is legally required. We're going to talk about legally required later. To cross that specific border, we move through the process with cool neutrality, present our physical standalone passport book shields, whatever, and completely avoid doomsday tech panic. Okay, I'm liking this AI. No doomsday. Like, you're not doomed if you end up having to scan your fingerprints or take a picture of your irises or whatever for traveling. So that's another thing that we need to talk about, because there's a lot of like, oh, you're doomed or whatever if you did that or something. And it's like, hold on one second. It's not ideal. It's not ideal, but you're also not doomed. But anyways, let me keep reading. Okay, knowing our privacy remains intact across the rest of our lifestyle. We'll talk about the privacy stuff too, AI. Okay, we starve the AI. All right, AI, how do we starve you? Once we clear the checkpoints, we permanently protect our financial privacy by using physical paper banknotes or cash across the counter for our daily transit, meals, and hotels. This completely cuts off the live data stream that artificial intelligence needs to track your family's geographic footprint. So you see, cash is king. Okay, so here's this little chart that maybe you could screenshot or something like that kind of just lays out the, what the laws are, or just simplifies it. Okay, so it says the venue zone and the operational reality. So for example, if you are in a domestic US airport, TSA lines, and public stadiums, then it's 100% optional and voluntary. Again, if you are a US citizen in the airport, then it is optional and voluntary. Okay, and then for public stadiums like the Dodgers, I believe that this is for everyone, so both citizens and non-citizens. So if you are, a tourist coming from wherever and you don't want to participate in biometrics, anything like at the Dodger Stadium or at Disney, you don't have to. Okay, and it's completely optional. All right, anyways, and then it says strictly private country clubs and sovereign international borders. It says mandated under private contract or foreign country entry laws. So this isn't ideal at all. And again, the whole mandated thing, yeah, we'll see about that. So that's enough for today. I don't want this to go any longer.